A pleasant morning to all of us here in Ifugao State University, Tino campus. Today we are going to have our webinar. It's entitled Maximizing Your Teaching Potential Overseas. First of all, I would like to greet our school administrators, professors, teachers, College of Teacher Education students, and the staff. I would like to introduce myself. My name is Jennifer Lucas Chan. I'm a resident of Baguio City, but I've been teaching here overseas for 7 years now. In our webinar today, I am willing to share to you my experiences. They can be good or bad, but they are sources of learning for everyone. I hope that while I'm delivering my talk, and my webinar, you are able to write down some information or facts that you would like to ask later. Thank you so much for listening. It's a pleasure for me to be a part of this big event in your university. I hope that I am able to share to you very helpful insights that could be helpful in your future endeavors as educators. Let's start. Let me introduce myself as your presenter and resource speaker for today. As an experienced OFW teacher in three countries, namely Vietnam, Malaysia, and China, I have been teaching passionately for over 7 years now. At present, I'm here in Vietnam. I taught for 2 years in Malaysia and 2.5 years in China. In my experience in Malaysia, I taught in a center which is a registered Cambridge Learning Center in Johor Bahru, Malaysia. In my experiences there, we used Cambridge books, and of course, that developed better my English, especially in grammar related to Cambridge curriculum. For my experience in China, I taught there for about 2.5 years. I was a teacher for primary and secondary students. However, I focused more on secondary students there. I taught ESL, or we call it English as a Second Language, in government schools. My students were aging mostly at 17 or 18. Well, for now, okay, after the pandemic season in 2020 and 2021, I went back home to the Philippines from China, and for about 8 months I stayed there and continued to fly back here overseas. But this time, I'm here in Vietnam. I've been teaching here in Vietnam for about 3 years now. I taught for 2 years in a big international school, which is a Cambridge registered school, but now I'm teaching in an Oxford registered school. Well, for my experiences, these schools are government schools, private bilingual, international schools, and training centers. Here are the subjects that I taught: English, math, science, and project based learning. For the English subjects, I focused on ESL and academic English for primary and secondary students. But for math and science, I focused more on primary level. For the project based learning, this is used or a part of the Oxford curriculum. So I hope that you have learned something from me here in this introduction. Thank you. Before we start our webinar, here are some key points that you have to remember and you have to study all throughout our webinar for today. Number one, purpose and goals of teaching overseas. Number two, introduction of the topic, maximizing your teaching potential overseas. Number three, factors to consider for a successful teaching career overseas. Number four, solutions to unforeseen problems overseas. And lastly, messages of encouragement by the speaker. For this part, we need to put titles to our contents because the contents are varying, and also we have things or key points to remember. Well, first of all, of course, we have the purpose and goals of teaching overseas because you have to know, first of all, why you want or you would like to work overseas. Okay, so I put it there as our priority. Well, we also have other important information, like, for example, here, the factors to consider for a successful teaching career overseas. So, what are those? And we also have some possible solutions that could help you solve your problems there. Well, if you're working overseas, problems may arise anytime, unexpectedly, and sometimes in the worst time of your life. And of course, before we end our webinar, I hope that I can encourage you as well with my words and with my pieces of advice. Okay, today we're going to talk about why teach overseas. This is the biggest question in our webinar today. We have here three possible reasons that are common among Filipino teachers who are working overseas. First, you may find your purpose, personal goals, and mission overseas. Second, you possess the suitable qualifications, experiences, and personality adaptable to a foreign country. And the last, more sustainable and profitable chances of working overseas than in your home country. And there are more reasons, of course, than the ones that are listed here. In my personal experience, I think it's almost similar with other Filipino teachers who are working here overseas. In the first part, you can see that you'll find your purpose and personal goals here overseas. Yes, that's true. For most teachers, they think that they are more appreciated and they are more acknowledged by their employers and superiors here overseas. In the second part, they have good qualifications and they are confident in themselves. Many of the teachers who come here have, of course, well experienced backgrounds there in the Philippines before they come here. Honestly, before you work overseas, it's better for you to first gain a first-hand experience in the Philippines, maybe for about 2 to 3 years, and it can be in a regular school, like in a government school, private school, or you can even get it from a training center or a language academy. And lastly, okay, I think everyone can relate to this. Many employers and most of the schools here overseas pay much more higher than the ones in the Philippines. Well, yes, that's true, but it's very sad for us to acknowledge that. It's very sad that we have to go overseas to experience a more profitable teaching career. Okay? So, when you come here overseas, however, please do not just think that you come here for the money. You come here also for your personal growth. You come here because you think that you are more appreciated. You come here because you think you are a very well qualified teacher who can work overseas too. Okay, now for these reasons why Filipino teachers teach overseas, I hope that you learn something from their experience here, from these three main reasons. However, there could be other reasons than these. Now, we will be talking about our main topic for today in our webinar, maximizing your teaching potential overseas. There are three subtopics related to this. Number one, building strong foundations in your home country. Number two, the overseas teaching application method. And number three, factors to consider to establish successful teaching overseas. Now, let's talk about number one. In your country, in the Philippines, we have to build strong foundations. What do we mean by foundations? These are the first hand experiences that you do after you graduate from university. So, you may be able to work in a regular school, or you may be working in a vocational school, in a training center, in an institute, or in a language academy. Well, it doesn't matter for as long as you're working as a professional teacher and you are teaching groups of students. For number two, we have here the methods that we're going to learn. Yes, I will show you different methods today, and you may take note of the websites or how to find them. And of course, for the last but not the least, well, there are some things that you have to keep in mind that can make you become successful in your teaching here overseas. Now, how do you build strong foundations in your home country? We have here some suggestions. Establish the best teaching experiences in your country. Build harmonious relationship with your employers, co-teachers, and school administrators. Master your specialization by gaining consistent training after graduation. Yes, these are factors that could help you build your strong foundation before you come here overseas. Teaching applications here overseas are very competitive. As you know, there are other teachers from other countries too who are looking for a job here overseas. It's not only it's not only about the Filipino teachers, it's about also being competitive. It's about willing to give your best to the school that you're applying for despite that you are a Filipino. I will tell you honestly something here. Here in Vietnam, I've experienced that many schools nowadays are looking for native speakers of English, especially now that we already finished the pandemic era. The economy is open, and more Europeans, Westerners, and other nationalities come here to Vietnam to look for a job. Now, as a Filipino, what could be your edge? What could be your advantage? So, you should have a very firm foundation that could also be reflecting your professional career as a teacher. So that's why it's very important to earn more experience in your home country before you come here overseas, as most schools here overseas also require sufficient experiences. Let me tell you honestly here that many schools don't actually prefer education graduates. Some of them prefer graduates of any degrees, but but these graduates have a TESOL certificate. TESOL, or Teaching English to Speakers of Other Languages certificate. Now, just like for example in my case, my background is agriculture. I finished BSA, or Bachelor of Science in Agriculture, in the Philippines, but I took up 18 units of professional education and I took my licensure examination for teachers and passed. Now, with those teaching qualifications and educational background, at first I was thinking that, oh, maybe my foundation is not right. It's not even right to apply here overseas with that educational background. That's what I thought before, but I was wrong. When I came here overseas, especially in Malaysia, China, and here even in Vietnam, they recognized my degree and accepted me as an ESL teacher in their school, training center, and company. So I think I think aside from the educational background, having better foundation there in our home country can really give you an edge. Many foreigners come here. They're also competitive in looking for a job like you. Establishing the best teaching experiences in your home country, the Philippines. Experience teaching in academies, centers, private, and public schools. Every experience counts and worth the try. My piece of advice: if applying for a teaching position overseas, some countries acknowledge your experiences even in academies or tutorial centers. That's true. When I applied to Malaysia before, I only had an experience teaching in a Korean academy in Baguio City. I only had about like 2 years of teaching in a center, teaching English to Korean students, one on one and by group. And after that, I applied to workabroad.ph. It's a site full of POEA accredited recruiters. So when I applied there, luckily I was able I was able to pass all of their interview. I was able to be recruited by the school that needed teachers there. And when I applied for China, that was in the year 2019 to 2021, I only had an experience teaching in Malaysia. By the way, my teaching experience in Malaysia was in a training center. It was a Cambridge registered training center catering to tutorial services, especially English, to primary and secondary level students. Again, the Work Abroad PH was used as a website. So when I applied there, the only experience that I had was the one from Malaysia. And again, I was blessed to be chosen as one of the teachers who will be working in Beijing, China. So when I arrived in Beijing, China, I work in a center. I work in a company catering to tutorial services, and they also sent me to work in some regular government schools. That's the time that I experienced teaching English or ESL to secondary level government schools in Beijing. So, that's the reason why I was able to get a classroom setup experience. And now that I'm here in Vietnam, they asked me to. The employer asked me before, so what was your experience about working overseas? They asked me that question. Of course, I told them my experiences in Malaysia and Beijing, China. And after maybe like 1 or 2 weeks, they contacted me. They contacted me on the phone. By the way, at that time, I was in the Philippines. I just applied online by email. So there you go. They gave me the chance to come here and work. And when I came here to Vietnam, they gave me that what you call like being a professional teacher at work. It means you're really working in a regular school from K to 12. So I can say that having the best teaching experience in your home country is worth the try. So please do not disregard or do not get demotivated if your teaching experience is only in a center or academy. Try your best to apply to other countries. And in these countries, as I told you before earlier, some of the employers there can accept teachers who only had experiences teaching in a center or in an academy but not in a regular school. So don't lose hope. Building harmonious relationship. Now, if we say harmonious relationship, we're talking about being at peace, being at your happiest moment in a relationship. Now, we are going to talk about here how you build relationship with your co-teachers at school. There are many ways by how you can build harmonious relationships at school. First, aside from the teachers or co-teachers, you can have it with your employers. Your employers are very helpful because they issue genuine employment certificates and act as your credible references when you need a background check for your next job. Next, with your co-teachers. Establishing relationship with your co-teachers is sometimes beneficial because they can be your references too. Do you know that? Do you know that your co-teachers can be your references? Aside from that, they can also be amicable with your own terms. Or it means like they can be flexible to adapt to your own terms. Okay? Also, in my application before, I put there as a reference my co-teacher. And fortunately, when the employer asked more background check about me, they emailed my co-teacher Okay. And of course, my co teacher was able to help me as well in my job application. Okay, and the next. So you should have good relationships with your school administrators. Now, for example, you can have a harmonious relationship with your human resources manager because you can put them as your references too. Okay, so your references can also include your operations manager, not the academic, but the operations manager, and other other important people in your school. Okay, so for this part, I would like to encourage you to at least have 3 or 4 references and make it sure that these people as your references would be having harmonious relationships with you or had harmonious relationships with you. Remember, okay? Once your resume got ruined by by a bad reference, of course, it affects your application. Okay? So bear in mind, you can be flexible in choosing your references for your job application. However, some schools are strict. They only wanted your supervisor or school principal to be your reference. Now, by the way, in that matter, then, you should know how to establish harmonious relationships from the first part of your job, from the first time you have your job. In that case, okay, so those people who had this harmonious relationship with you would be able to help you in your next job application. Now, let's proceed to master your specialization with consistent training. Even if you graduate from university, you still need more trainings to enhance your skills and to also stay updated in your field. Training can supplement your university degree. With training, you stay updated on current educational system and curriculum. And also, it's important piece of advice to all teachers that having training on educational technology tools is a great advantage and preferred overseas. And lastly, some countries, especially the United States, gives higher credits to teachers who had updated practical training on STEM, SPED, and technology training. Here, for me, in my case, even after I finished my university graduation, I continued to undergo trainings. Why? It's not because I am not skillful, but it's because I want to improve more or to enhance more my skills. Okay? Here in Asian countries, when you apply here for a job, some schools don't care about the training. They care more about your degree, your employment certificate, and experiences. However, as mentioned here in the slide, some countries do credit your training, just like the United States of America. So, remember also that through training, you are keeping yourself updated to what's happening now at present. Mm, Unfortunately, there are some teachers who find it hard or difficult to undergo trainings on technology or computer like that, especially to our senior teachers. I mean, like teachers who are already past their prime age. Okay, like for example, teachers who are in the senior citizen group, many of them cannot easily undergo training with computers. Well, it doesn't mean that they don't like to be trained. It's just that they find it hard to learn again a new skill, especially that during their younger years they didn't experience any computers before. Okay? So, anyway, here, when we talk about training, it's not only about training in your field, it could also be training that could be beneficial for your students. Like, for example, the first aid training. Okay? How do you practice? How do you improve yourself in the first aid training? And also, we have other trainings like um, basic ways of classroom management, okay, and many more. Okay, so please keep in mind that through training, you are more honed, you are more disciplined, and you are more skillful. Now, let's proceed to our overseas teaching application method. So, as you can see here, this is a picture of the school where I taught before in Beijing, China. It's a very big vocational school for high school students. Okay, so let's remember here a biblical verse about what Jeremiah stated in the Holy Bible about God's plans for us. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. So, with this Bible verse, I'm thinking that we are more encouraged to find meaning, to find our purpose working overseas, because we have the faith in the Lord that no matter where we go, He is with us, and also that it is His plan. This plan is much better than ours. So I hope that you find the strength and also your faith in the Lord. When you come here overseas and work here, never lose your hope. Never lose your faith in the Lord, because when you come here, even your friends, even your Filipino community, even your employer, your students, and other people at school might leave you anytime. But if we commit our love, our work to the Lord blesses us. So again, I hope that when you also decide on working overseas, you pray for it. If it's for you, maybe God will give you a sign for that. Now, so again, let's proceed to overseas teaching application method. One of the ways by which you can apply overseas is by email or website method. The key here is Googling for the website of the school you would like to send your application to. For instance, in the search box of Google, you can type list of international schools in Vietnam. Now, if you input that in your Google search, you will find a series or a list of international schools in Vietnam. So, the next part here that you're going to do is search for the HR's email or contact number in the website. So, you're going to open each website. okay? One by one. Now, some websites just have the button contact us, okay? So it's like a button or an icon there that you're going to press, and then after you press that, you may be redirected to um, to a to an application site for your job. And finally, send your inquiries and apply for teaching position to give yourself a try. Okay? So, would you believe this? That I came here to Vietnam by email. Yes, you heard it right. When when I was recruited by a very big international school here in Vietnam, they read my email, okay, my email message. I applied through email. I was in the Philippines that time. That was in the year 2022 already. So I applied through email, sent to them the scanned copy of my documents, my certifications, and degree. At first, I just wanted to give myself a try, but I didn't expect that to happen, that they would accept me through email. Now, so there, from that time on, it was very successful. It was a successful application. So I sent my email and they received, and then they responded back immediately. I received the response after a day, and they were asking me to have a teaching demonstration via online using Microsoft Teams. Okay, so please again, do not disregard this small convenient method of application. Applying using the email or the website method is very practical, very cheap, and convenient for you. Okay? Try and try more to apply until you get one or more successful applications. Okay? So don't lose hope. And again, as I told you, if you apply by email, you have to attach all the important documents like your trainings, your degree, your other certifications, and many more. Okay? So do not just attach your resume or cover letter, but you have to attach the other important documents. You can also send your application through job portals. These are the most popular job portals for Filipino teacher OFWs. Workabroad.ph, jobstreet.ph, Scroll, LinkedIn, sorry, Facebook, and fieldjob.net. Okay. Now, in these job portals, you are going to make your own resume in accordance to their format. When you register your account here, you will be given like a document from the website wherein you're going to input some important information about you, about your job, okay, and what you are looking for, and many more. Okay, so I think these job portals are also very helpful because many employers prefer this method because they can see the applicants having the organization skills in arranging their documents, and also these job portals have that way, their own way of fixing documents before reaching the employers or recruiters. Okay, Now, if you want to if you want to apply overseas here, if you're from the Philippines, you can go to workabroad.ph. That is the safest one because you can find or see there the accredited agencies, accredited agencies by the POEA. So these agencies can operate legally, okay, to send foreign workers overseas. Now, so the others like jobstreet.ph, scroll, okay, LinkedIn, Facebook, and fieldjob.net. Well, they may be safe as well, like workabroad.ph, but it depends on their locality or place. Okay. So if I were you looking for a job overseas, I prefer to choose workabroad.ph first. And maybe if you've already reached overseas, then that's the time you can change your agency, okay? Or you might look for another employer there after you work or after your contract, and then you might be working without any agency, which is also an advantage. Cheaper, no agent fee, and many more. Okay. By the way, here for these job portals like jobstreet.ph, scroll, okay, LinkedIn, Facebook, fieldjob.net, and workabroad.ph, they are free. Okay, you can be a member, you can register for free. Okay, so you don't have to pay anything except for scroll requires payment if you would like to be a member for a year. Scroll is more on international schools. Okay, if you want to apply for an international school, it's better to apply to Scroll. You make your account there. And for the Philippines, you can choose jobstreet.ph. It means local jobs. Okay. You can also find them on Facebook. Yeah, there are. Fieldjob.net. Okay. And LinkedIn. Okay. However, if you would like to apply overseas in a safe and legal way, then you go to workabroad.ph. We will proceed now to factors for successful teaching overseas. There are many factors that could help you to become successful. However, I will only mention here the most important ones that are applicable here overseas. First, cultural adaptability and sensitivity. If you come here overseas, you should study their culture, study their basic laws or their rules and regulations, their native food, their religion, their government, and how to show respect to the locals. Okay, if you are not sure of their culture, if you're not sure whether you're offensive or being respectful, then you ask the local people in a polite manner. Okay, when you come here overseas, please do not bring here the Filipino culture that could be offensive to them. Okay, so we have, of course, as a Filipino like me, I'm aware of the good side of our Filipino culture. However, when you come here to their country, it's different. Okay, so for this part, cultural adaptability and sensitivity, I think it's the most important thing here is to show respect. Okay, so respect in the way you talk to the locals, and also how you address them properly with their names. Okay, you also need to study about their superstitious beliefs, because there are superstitious beliefs anywhere, right? It's even the same in our country, in the Philippines. So don't forget this one. And please, when you come here, do not show to the locals that you are disgusted. If you have that feeling that you are disgusted with their food, with their smell, with their fashion, so I advise that it's better for you maybe not to try, for example, their local food. If you think it's disgusting for you, then never try it. Okay? Or you may try it. However, you can taste, okay, in a small amount like that. Okay? So please bear in mind that respect is very important wherever you go. Professional development. This is one of the key factors that can make you have the potential to be a teacher overseas. Okay? If we say professional development, we talk about trainings, good experiences, um, good relationships with your superiors, improvement in yourself as a teacher, and many more. Okay, so I would like to share to you my ideas about how to get free or paid training certificates. I'm sure you're excited to know that. Okay, so let me help you here now. Okay, so first we have here our futurelearn.com. If you find this in the internet, you can see this logo here on the screen that you see. They have a lot of degrees, subjects, and courses to choose from. You may you may subscribe to the free unlimited one, but it doesn't have any certificate issues, or you may get the paid one, okay, the paid subscription. If you get the paid subscription, you will be issued a certificate. It can be the online or the digital or the printed one. Now, Future Learn contains many courses that are verified by international universities around the world. They also offer a very affordable fee for training. For me, I have had trainings with Future Learn, and I do have certifications from here, okay? And they were able to help me in my job applications here in Asia, okay? Since they were all released, or these trainings were conducted by international universities and that are well known in the world, okay? The next site here where you can find free training is British Council. I think for our ESL teachers, this is a very helpful and important site. Okay. British Council is a non-profit organization. So when they have some courses here, they can be free. Some of them would be free, some of them could be paid. Okay. So please, if you have time, check this out. British Council. Learn English online and improve your skills through their high quality courses and resources. Okay, right. Now, the next one here is our Oxford. Okay, so our Oxford free digital resources, you can type that in the internet and this will pop out. Okay, so this website contains free digital resources that could be helpful in your English classes, like, for example, worksheets, supplementary materials, okay, and many more. Okay, the next one. Oh, this is the most common one among Filipinos. We have the model, we call that the massive open distance learning, e-learning, from the University of the Philippines Open University. Okay, in this site, you can also find many other courses or degrees that are considered to be free or paid. Okay, then we have here the next one. Okay, the Filipinos also like this site because this website allows them to work overseas. We have TESDA. Okay, the TESDA TOP, or you call that TESDA online program. It's a kind of program that could be helpful to you to learn other skills and trainings for your career. And most of the courses here are government approved and they have equivalency overseas. Okay? So please remember these sites where you can apply for a job. Okay? Okay, now let's talk about some solutions to unforeseen problems overseas. Um, Let me share to you my experience when I was working in Malaysia, China, and here in Vietnam. Okay, so what were the problems that I experienced when I was in Malaysia? I worked in Malaysia in 2009, from 2009 to 2011, so 2 years. The most unfortunate event that happened to me there was when they ended my contract. When my visa ended, after 2 years, they also ended my contract and they didn't want me to renew. Okay. The operations manager talked to me and then he said that, Jennifer, we are very sorry. We apologize to inform you that we cannot renew you anymore. We cannot renew your contract anymore. So there are some reasons why. It's not because they didn't like me, but it's because the language center where I was registered in Malaysia, closed down. Now, so of course, at the time I felt shocked and I felt so sad and afraid. Okay. So I was saying to myself that, oh, so what would I do now? Where would I work? Is it easy to find a job when your contract got suddenly terminated? Okay. So those are the questions that you have to think. Now, so what did I do? I went to Singapore because Singapore was just nearby Malaysia. They're adjacent, to look for a job. There was an employer, a training center that was willing to hire me before, but unfortunately, the government of Singapore was very strict in hiring foreigners. So what happened? I wasn't able to get the job. Even though the employer from Singapore was complacent, not no sorry, not complacent. He was confident that I would be approved in my work permit, but unfortunately, Singapore didn't approve. Okay, so they rejected my application. So that was the time that I realized that I have to go back to the Philippines instead of, like searching and wasting money overseas, but I couldn't find any new job. So there, I went back to the Philippines, okay? And after some years of working in the Philippines, I work in some online companies, but they are like tutorial centers for Chinese and Koreans, but they're online. So after a few years, I decided to go back overseas again, but this time I decided to go to China. Okay, so how did I go to China? I applied through workabroad.ph. When I applied to China, so I was praying to the Lord that He could give me a chance to work in another country again. Well, after a few days, I think like 3 or 4 days, um, the owner of the owner of the agency in Makati, it's a POE, a registered agency, called me up and informed me that I was selected for for the teaching position. Okay. However, I had to undergo some interviews with the employer, the Chinese employer. So this is what happened. So I was selected, and the Chinese employer interviewed me online. Well, to cut it short, I was able to get a job and flew to China. So that happened in 2019 to 2021. It was the pandemic season. Okay. So, of course, who could predict the coming of the pandemic? Nobody, right? So, what happened there? When I was in China in the year 2020, the pandemic already was spreading. Of course, I was panicking, I was afraid, I was nervous, and everything got very expensive, especially the air tickets, the plane tickets. Okay, the plane tickets were very expensive because many countries already shut down their gates, their borders, because of the pandemic, the incoming pandemic. Now, at that time, it's good that our employer changed our method of working to online. But we were in China at that time. We were getting the salary as usual. Normally, it's good that we were paid, okay? We were paid the same amount as how we were paid without the pandemic. However, imagine this one. If you would like to go back to your country and it's pandemic, okay? The air ticket was expensive. It's like about 35,000 pesos one way only from Beijing to Manila. But without the pandemic, you could avail of that for only 15,000, 16,000. But during the pandemic time it was doubled. Okay? So it's good that I was able to save my money there in that country, China. I didn't send a lot of money to the Philippines. Okay? It's good I didn't send a lot of money because during that time, if you couldn't go home, and just stay there in that country where you are already terminated by the employer because of the pandemic, so how would you go back home? That's another problem. Okay, so what I did is to um, so what I did was to save my money there. It was good that I made that decision. It was good that I controlled my money and didn't send them all to the Philippines. So I used some of my money to pay for the air ticket. I went to ask help from the Philippine embassy in Beijing, because they know more about how to go back to the Philippines in a more affordable way. Well, actually, that 35,000 pesos air ticket was the cheapest already. The other airlines like Cathay Pacific and other airlines cost about 70,000 pesos only one way. So, could you imagine that? Okay? What could have happened to me if I couldn't have saved my money and couldn't use anything to go back home? Okay? So, those are unpredictable challenges that would happen. Those are unforeseen problems that would happen. Okay? So, that's why here in our slide I wrote here, always save money for yourself overseas. That's number 1. That's really number 1. So when you get sick overseas, when you get hospitalized, okay, when the pandemic comes back, so what are you going to do? Okay? Do you think you can ask money from the Philippines, from your relatives or family? No, you can't do that easily. You're lucky if they could do that. Now, next, be careful of opening up your personal matters to others. Yes, we know that. We experienced this culture here in the Philippines, so there's no need to explain it further. Then we have always stay healthy in all aspects. Yes, this is very important. Stay healthy, especially in your mental aspect, to avoid depression, nervous breakdown, okay, or mental breakdown, and many more. Okay, always exercise, eat the right kind of food, eat healthy food, okay, and as much as possible, do something to avoid getting sick, okay? So, always stay healthy in all aspects. They said that the most important one is to keep your health, your mental health, okay? Then, of course, the last one, but still a very important factor, is to negotiate your problems with your superiors, okay, or employers objectively. It means that if you have a problem with your work, okay, so please never gossip, never make some gossip, because many employers are sensitive about gossip, and once they see that personality from you, they think that they won't trust you anymore. Okay? So negotiate your problems objectively. As much as possible, avoid personal reasons, avoid getting too emotional, okay, at work. So you'd better ask your employer a recommendation on what to do to solve your problem. Okay, now, so these are solutions for some unforeseen problems. Of course, there are more solutions like discipline, okay, developing your self-control, um, making it sure that you are safe, your time management. So you come home at night, go to sleep at night, okay? Make it sure that you come home before this time, okay, like 9 o'clock in the evening, like that, and many more. Okay, so there could be more solutions to unforeseen problems. However, these are the most common ones that I included. Okay, now we have come down to our end. So, with all of those thoughts, pieces of advice, guidance that I shared to you, I'm going to give you now the message of encouragement. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity of sharing my ideas, teaching experiences to all of you. It's a great honor for me to be trusted to be one of your resource speakers. I would like to encourage everyone to try their best in studying at school, passing their teacher's license, and always stay motivated. To achieve your dreams, stay persistent and dedicated to your teaching career as your passion, no matter what challenges you face in daily life. Always stay young at heart. Okay, now if we say young at heart, please always have that zest, that energy, and that smile on your face, okay, to face everyday life. Yes, we are all getting older physically every day, but as teachers, we are working with children, okay? So we should also try our best to be in their shoes at least once in a while, okay? So to understand, to develop more empathy to our students, it's good to always stay young at heart like them. Okay, so if you have any questions about working abroad, working overseas, I will try my best to cater to your questions and give you some answers that I could possibly give. Okay, by the way, aside from these Asian countries, I also have some ideas about applications to the United States of America as a teacher. Okay, and also application as a teacher in Spain, in Czech Republic, in Taiwan, in Japan. Yes, and those are the other countries that I know about in terms of like their application. Okay, so I may be able to guide you on how to apply, but of course I do hope that you can still serve first our country, the Philippines, before you leave. Okay? We cannot blame Filipino teachers who are working overseas. And I think we shouldn't blame them because, in the very first place, it's not easy to find a very stable job in the Philippines for everyone. Next, you know already the reasons. Okay, I will not enumerate them, but um, all I can say is that when you also come here overseas, please do not expect too highly of the salary that you're going to get. It depends on the country, it depends on the benefits that you get, it depends on your employer, and many other factors that would affect your salary and grading. Okay, so again, I'm willing to cater to your questions. I suggest that you can send me some messages through my email address. It's found in one of the slides earlier. Okay, so I will try my best to answer those questions, and I hope that one day we can meet overseas or in the Philippines. Okay? Thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much as well for um, paying attention. Okay? I know it took you some time to listen to my speech or to my webinar, but I hope you got something very important to learn. Okay? So I wish you all the best. May God bless your plans to our graduating College of Education students, to our senior students, and all of the students in CTE. May you all be successful teachers one day, and may you be the model, the role model for our youth one day. Okay? So, again, have a wonderful day, have a wonderful weekend. Goodbye, everyone.